Hi, she's Trixie, and I'm Sarah, and this is Our Yarn World, a place where we come to share the love of yarn crafts and all that it provides us and all that we hope it provides you. We are on episode 58 today, and we really don't have a big project report as of this week, and
we got other reports.
And so there's other things that we'd like to share with you as to just a life update on top of some of the things that we did do, on top of the things that we tried to do, and just...
or can't do right now.
And yeah, just kind of share the reality that is a craft in progress. I am going to leave it up to my mom to start us off because my little is trying to invade the camera space.
Just a minute, honey. Mommy's coming. Okay, so the thing that I was able to finish before Sunday was this block. It's called a Crochet Gnome Granny Square, and I got the idea from RepeatCrafterMe. I did write it down. RepeatCrafterMe. That's her YouTube channel, and I just thought it was so cute. Sarah made that gnome, you know, the spring gnome, and it was like, oh, well, maybe I can make a block. And so I just tried it, and it worked, and I was so happy. So, yeah, that's what I was able to finish. But for all you moms out there, I just want to say happy Mother's Day, belated Mother's Day, because it's something happened to me that day that is forever going to change my life. It's after church, my husband and I went to Menards and we got some flowers, and I usually get flowers from my hanging baskets that I can plant in them so that I can keep my decorative hanging baskets. And after lunch we went out, and he was doing what he wanted to do and I was doing my stuff. And as I was putting stuff out in the yard and doing things and getting things in their place and everything, I had turned around after I looked at a bird feeder, and I was carrying the bird feeder, and I turned around, and all of a sudden the ground was like this far from my face, and I smacked my nose, my forehead on the ground, and I rolled over and tried to realize what had happened and what was going on, and realize what was hurt. What did I do to myself? Well, one, I'm going to take my glasses off for a second here. I want you to see just what it did to my nose. I completely smacked my nose with my glasses on, so it's got all these different places where it hit, and I smacked my forehead. I can feel it right here. It's not bruising, but I know that there's something there. So, but I must have tried to break my fall. I don't realize it. I didn't even realize it, that I was falling, until I saw the ground this far away from my face. And so I went and I must have tried to stop my fall. And until yesterday I was wearing a ace bandage on this arm, because the impact has thrown all of these muscles, all of these muscles from all of my fingers are hurt, but these two fingers, my ring finger and my pinky, all the way down my arm and all the way under here and up into my shoulder and into my shoulder blade, are extremely sore. The only reason I took the ace bandage off yesterday is because it got really warm around here and it started to sweat underneath it, and that does not feel good. So, but when I first turned around, this arm was up in the air, and I'm just like, oh, something's not right with this arm. But I felt it like all in my elbow area. And I'm just like, I'm just going to stay here and try and evaluate what's going on. I knew I had hit my head. I knew I had hit my nose. I knew my hands had hit. I've still got the scabs on my hands. I had hit my leg on something in the yard. It's like a bowed bridge that you put potted plants on. I forgot I had put it there. I turned around and that's, I just
tripped you up.
Yeah, my left shin hit that metal bridge. And so my shin is scraped, but not bad, bruised. It didn't rip my pants or anything, so I was glad about that. But I'm just like laying on the ground thinking, what a mess I must look. And my husband's out in the backyard, and my phone's in my back pocket, but I knew I couldn't get it. Both my hands, every muscle in my arms was just on fire, and I knew I couldn't reach my phone. And so I'm just like, I'm just gonna wait here. I'm just gonna wait here on the ground until he can come see what's going on, because I really don't know what the damage is. So he came up a couple minutes later. I don't even know. God must have told him that I was laying on the ground or something. I don't know. He had something for me to do. He wanted me to help him with his project, but I just find it funny that the timing of it was right after, within 5 minutes. And he came up and he said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I fell." And he's like, "How bad is it?" And I said, "I don't know. I'm still trying to evaluate." I still had my arm up in the air because I didn't know if I could put it down without, I didn't know if it was broke. I literally didn't know if anything was broken. And he's like, "Do you need to go to the hospital?" And I said, "I don't know, but I don't think so. I don't really want to cause us any bills on this if it's just something that I can just get up and start moving and I'll be okay." And so he said, "Let me help you up." And the first thing that came to my mind was, no, you're not going to touch me. My hands hurt too bad. My wrists hurt too bad. If you start pulling on me, it's going to break something.
I'll pull something out.
Pull something out of alignment. Something. I'm not going to be able to move if you do that. Not thinking that if I rolled myself over on my knees, I would have to be on my hands anyway to push myself up. Never. You don't think of these things because, you fell.
You're in the moment.
Yeah, and so that's what I did. I kind of just rolled myself up on my knees and my hands, and I pushed myself up, moaning, groaning the whole time because I'm just like in so much pain. I mean, the waves of nausea still, that'll get to me. It gets to me. And I'm just like, oh, okay. And he's like, "Well, I came up here to ask if you could help me with my project, but I can see that you're probably not in the mood to do that." And I said, "What are you doing?" And he said, "Well, I need you to hold something for about 2 minutes so that I can screw another piece to it," because he was working with wood. He's making shelving units for lumber. And I said, "I'm up. I need to move around while I'm out here. Might as well do that." And he said, "Well, let me wipe the dirt off your face so that at least it's not getting in your eyes." And I'm like, God, how bad do I look? Because I wasn't thinking that, I was full of dirt or anything. I'm just thinking, so he wiped the dirt out of my face and we walked back to the backyard. And all this time I'm not thinking, I'm thinking, well, I can walk. I'll just hold my hands out, I'll just try to not really move my arms in too severe of a, direction or anything. And I'll just hold whatever he needs me to hold. Not realizing that it's 8 foot object that he's got all this old lumber, all this old heavy lumber that's 8 foot. And he wants me to hold it up so that he can do another same piece. He made 4 of the same pieces so that he could put these lumber through all this space. And yes, shelving unit. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to be holding this. So I held it, and he screwed his pieces into place. And then I went around to the other side, and I held another piece up so he could screw another piece in. And got that all done. And I told him, I said, I got to go in and take a shower. I got to go figure out what is going on with me. And I got into my bathroom and tried to use my hands to get my clothes off, and I'm just like, oh, my thumbs hurt and my fingers all hurt, and I'm just like, oh, how am I gonna do this? But I was able to get them off, and I got the shower going, and I got into the shower, and it was just like, I had my hair in a really nice braid at the time, so it was just like, I'm not even gonna wash my hair. I'm just gonna wash my body off and just try and get, you know, just get the dirt off me, because I had been planting, so there was dirt all in my fingers and everything. So I got all the dirt off myself and figured out what was actually hurting, and put my nightgown on afterwards, and came out, and it was just like, my husband has been so sweet every night since Sunday, and this is Wednesday now. He's made dinner for me every night. He's been helping me with all the stuff that I need help with, and you know, like wrapping my arm and stuff like that. I still have trouble. Last night when I took the ace bandage off, it was like sharp knife pains going right through the bone and the muscle, the tendons in my hands, and I'm just like, oh. So, but if I move my fingers in any kind of major direction, I'm feeling it all the way up, and so I'm just like, well, I can't do that. So that means no crochet until further notice, until I can get my muscles to work the way I want to. That's why I said I did this before Sunday, because that wouldn't have gotten done. I want to so bad. Watching TV with my husband, that's my time to do my crochet. And when you don't have that to do, and you just have TV to watch, and you're hurting, all you can think about is the pain.
There's no coping
When
mechanism.
when I jammed my hands down on the ground to save myself, it ricocheted back into my shoulder blades, and I can still feel that. Just like it hurts so bad. And that first night I didn't really sleep. The second night I did, and when I woke up, I had like second day syndrome yesterday. So I figured out that my hips both hurt in my lower back, and you know, so it just goes down your body. Everything just goes, I mean, I don't know. I guess the older that you get, the harder it is for you to heal. And so all that to say, my body is trying to heal. It makes me very, very tired. I sleep. If I sit down in my chair, I'm falling asleep now, trying to get my body to heal. I didn't realize that was going to happen the older you get. I guess maybe that's why older people sleep all the time now. I don't know these things. I just know that that's what I'm figuring out. So, I guess that's my story. So, I hope to look better next week. My daughter was nice enough to braid my hair in 2 French braids that I kept in until today. That was a couple of days ago. So I kept it in for 2 days because I can't even put stuff in my hair. I can't wind my fingers enough to do it.
Lifting over your head is probably not really
I can't lift
right
over my head. I can't. I can finally write, but that first night, I found out that, okay, when I first helped my husband, I was okay. when
I hadn't processed the pain
when
yet.
I was eating, I could grip the fork. By the end of that night, I couldn't pinch my fingers together. I couldn't have held a spoon. I mean, my husband had gotten us a bowl of ice cream, and by the end of it, I'm like, can you get that last scoop of ice cream? I cannot hold the spoon. And he had to help me with that. And I was just like, what is going on? Why as the night goes on, I'm getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And he's like, are you sure you don't need to go to the hospital? I'm like, I don't want the bills from it. I just think that if I just let it heal, I'll be okay. Which I am getting better. I'm just feeling it as I am. So I can finally write. I can finally pinch things again. But crochet is a whole different story. When you're writing, you glide your finger or your hand across the page. It helps you to write. When you're crocheting, you're holding your hand up with nothing to guide, nothing to hold the pressure of your arm.
No way.
Yeah,
Gravity.
and you're using different kind of muscles. So I really don't know how long it's going to take until I can do that, but I can't wait. I'm telling you, when you're just sitting there with nothing to do, it just makes you think of all the things that you can't do.
Yep.
And it hurts. Mm-hmm. It hurts to think that you can't do what you want to do. So,
Yep.
So that's what I have.
Well, again, I'm sorry that happened.
Me too. On Mother's Day of all days.
I know, it's like Mother Earth was just like, hey,
Yeah.
want to give me a hug? It's been a while.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'll tell you what, I feel for elderly who fall all the time, and I hope this is not a indication of things to come. I really hope that this is not my thing that happens as I get older.
Don't worry about it.
I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just saying, Lord, if you're listening, please that mean not be the thing that I do.
Can you watch your show? I'll help you in just a minute. So, the people in my life that made me a mom are here. My daughter is home from school this week because of some illness going around her classroom. They just wanted to have time to clean the room and everyone, make sure that there's no bugs, that if they are going through the students or the teachers, that it just pass over the weekend so that it's good. And the next week, Daniel, I love you. I know, it's okay. I'm so proud of you. Watch your show. And it's just kind of thrown off our normal filming routine because normally my son is asleep, but with Sissy here, he doesn't seem to want to be sleeping right now. So it's just...
So this may be a little shorter.
It's going to be a little bit shorter. And as for my progress report, there really hasn't been much. I was really hoping to treat my mom to a bouquet of crocheted flowers for Mother's Day, and I attempted some. She really likes roses, and I realized that this isn't great. But I just was eyeballing and trying to create a flower and making some petals and seeing if I could do it on my own. It really didn't turn out the way I wanted it to. So I
think it's pretty.
But I tried to attempt a different pattern that I saw someone do, explaining that the shape of the petals themselves need to be a little bit more structured in a way to make and I was trying to make a bud, but obviously, like I said, it wasn't working. And like I said, it's not that it won't work, it's just that I have to find the right thing, and maybe it's my yarn, maybe it's me, maybe it's whatever it is, but when you are so used to doing things without a pattern because you've been doing structured work or 3D objects for Olivia, just a minute, for long enough, you get used to being able to do most things on your own after, visually. Like you can remember how to make things based off a shape or whatever. And I know that I plan to do a tutorial series on different shapes that we can make.
Yeah.
So I do plan to do that once I'm a little bit well versed on this. I've made flowers before, and that's why I thought I could do this, especially if it was just roses, because I just thought if I made every single petal, it's just crafting the rose.
Yeah.
But each rose has different shaped petals. They're not just all flat. Sometimes they're curved and then curved out, almost like a Pringle. Some of them are just like, there's all these different shapes. And the ones that I wanted to be able to give my mom, there's ones where they're curved out like that, but they come to a tip. And it's like, there are patterns, but I was hoping to do it on my own. And I failed before Mother's Day, obviously. And it's a little irritating because it's like that expectation that I had on myself to complete, and when it doesn't work out, I just kind of, if you've ever been if you're an avid reader, there is a term called a reading slump, where you go into a state of not feeling like you can pick up a book.
Right.
That's what these sort of things do for me. When there's not enough success happening, I kind of go into a crafting slump where it's just like, well, that wasn't successful. And when you try over and over and over again to try to get it done, eventually you're just like,
not good.
you need something else to give you that dopamine or serotonin. So I've been reading a lot, and so I finished that book I had shared with you guys last week, The Stress Solution. It was really good. I do recommend it. It might be controversial to some people's beliefs, but the main principles of it is applicable to almost every belief system.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
He was expressing it through his personal experiences, not that they cannot be applied to anyone's personal beliefs or experiences. So I really enjoyed his perspective, and I do hope to buy that book for myself. That was just a library read that I picked up. I'm on to my next library read, which is going to probably seem a little bit out of the ordinary, but I will explain it. I've been reading a lot of books revolving disorders and or even just neuroscience or more neuropsychology or psychology in and of itself, just because I like to feel like I have the ability to mindfully solve things, be able to solve things before they become a behavior, sort of speak. And I've really been enjoying just reading into things that even apply to my life, even if it's just a little bit, to see if I can understand how and why my brain has done things, or how and why other people in my lives' brains have done this, and have infected their lives and even the people around them's lives without even realizing it.
Right.
And one of those is hoarding.
Yeah.
This book is called Recognizing and Treating Hoarding Disorder, How Much is Too Much by Carol A. Matthews with one T. And it's been fascinating, incredibly fascinating. I'm only in the first, I'm a little bit almost done with the first chapter. I know you would think that that's not that far, but when the first chapter is talking about what is hoarding disorder and the history of the diagnosis, because for a long time people would record these phenomenons of these people that would live like what we understand as like a pack rat, or like people that can't give up valuable stuff.
Yeah.
Like just, there was even an aspect of hoarding food or hoarding money where they don't do anything with it, they just want it.
Yeah.
And it's just something that they can't get rid of.
Wow.
And it was social phenomenons. Like there was people that they hoarded for so long that their house was nothing but tunnels.
Oh gosh.
And they were brothers that had lived together their whole entire lives, and by the time it ended up being the death of them, quite literally, was because one of the brothers had a physical illness. One of them, Olivia, go get your shirt. Go get your shirt off the diaper bag. The Mario shirt. Go grab that. It's really warm today, and she's not wearing a shirt, and I don't want her to be bare-chested on the filming. So she gets her shirt, she can come sit on Mommy's lap. Do you need help?
No,
You got it?
Pants.
No, you don't
You
need
don't need
pants.
your pants.
It's fine. You can just be in your undies. That's fine. I know, you're just so warm. But, they had lived this way for so long that their house was so compact with things, whether it be newspapers or even waste, trash, to actual practical things like valuable things, but ranging from trash to actually valuable stuff. And just sit on mommy's lap. You can say hi, but you need to sit. You need to sit. You can eat some of mommy's chips if you want. But these guys, the smell, the stuff happening in their house was such a nuisance to everyone in society. They almost got evicted several times, but they happened to get away with it for so long. But what ended up happening to them is one of them was a little bit more ill, went blind, and had a heart condition, and the other brother was trying to take care of him.
Right.
But these, yeah, it's a rose. You can play with it. You can play with it.
And flowers.
I know, it's like flowers. And because that more medically impaired brother was resting somewhere in the house, the brother that was the caregiver was the only one that knew where he was. I mean, no one went to where they lived. No one ever went. But there was a smell that started to happen in the house, and so people finally went, and no one was answering, and they ended up finding the brother that was ill. They found him in that day. They found him in the stuff. He was passed. He had passed. He had died. But then they're like, where's the other brother then? We know that there's two of them. They recognize that the other one died from health complications and dehydration. It looks like he was trying to find his way. Now he was blind, like I said, and he had lost his sight over time. Okay. So he knew the structure of the house, but like I said, when you're a hoarder, the structures of the house changes over time because it becomes tunnels and hallways and pathways, and that's what happened here. Well, they realized that he wasn't the source of the smell. They thought that it was him or the trash or something. No, he had died recently. They end up lurking further. They end up doing a search throughout the whole entire house, and it took days before they found the other brother, who they had tunnels. That brother had went through the tunnel and it collapsed on him, and he couldn't get out, and it crushed him. He was trying to make it to his brother. He had food, but he ended up becoming decomposed, and that was the smell that the brother probably was trying to get out, and he was blind, couldn't find his way out, and died from health complications. And it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, that's very extreme.
Right.
That's very extreme, right? But
Mommy did it.
But it's just one of those things where it's like, I'm not about to say that we're to that anybody in my life is to that extreme.
Right.
But there is an aspect to even understanding where this comes from. Understanding that these phenomenons, this happened in the like 1800s, 1900s, like really early 1900s. These phenomenons have been recorded for a long time. They were public spectacles. They would record these people as a gossip article, and like just not being able to understand why these people existed,
right?
But not understanding and giving them grace and trying to understand where the ideas that were intrusive and not letting them go from this idea that they could let go of something without there being a bad consequence or them being punished or whatever those intrusive thoughts were. Because people always like to treat the symptoms, not actually go further to be like, what is the cause?
Right.
And this is a similar thing. And so right now, like I said, the chapter that I'm on is explaining that history and explaining that it used to be labeled as part of OCD or OCPD. So, and just how they've come to term it as its own disorder. So that's just where I'm at right now. And I know not everyone likes to read these sort of like books, but I find them very relaxing to be able to read. And Olivia, I'm talking. I do have blue eyes. I will be right there in just a minute.
Yeah, I got him to
Talk about blue eyes. I know.
You got him.
Mommy, her nose.
I do have a nose, don't I?
And Nana.
And Nana's nose. But it's just one of those things that I enjoy reading,
Eyes.
and
Eyes.
it's good to know what your interests are, because this is one of those things where it's like, I realize this is not everyone's thing and it might be my niche, but it's like, I love reading why and how brains work.
And that's exactly when I was younger, about her age, I was very, very interested in that too. I wanted to go to school for psychology.
In just a minute.
But then I realized that I probably couldn't work with people like that had several disorders, because I would be too scared to do that. So it didn't work out for me, but I'm glad that you're getting into it.
Yeah. I was discussing it with my friend today, how and he's a
Yep. Come on.
9.
Yeah, 8, 9.
and he's a professor, where he would realistically see me at if I were to go further with it. And it was just like, he's just like, you know, this is the realities of what education would look like, and how effective the cost would be if I were to suggest you places, and just explaining where we're at. He's a really good friend of mine, and he really enjoys
He said cheese. Cheese. Oh, you're a fun boy, aren't you, honey?
but just, he's into this stuff too, so it's just really fun to listen from a little bit more person from more academia, what their place is on. Just a minute.
So,
We're getting really, really bombarded with the kids.
but I do want to say our just a minute, honey. I want to say our Bible scripture really quickly. It says, "Humble yourselves in the sight of the Lord, and He will lift you up." And that is found in James 4:10. Can you stop? There you go, honey. Oh, you want down? Okay.
You can-
Oh, I just snapped my wrist. Yeah, thank you. So humble yourselves in the sight of the Lord, and He will lift you up. James 4:10, and the new, I think that's the New Living Translation. I'm not sure. But humble, I looked up humble to see what that meant, and it said having or showing a modest or low estimate of one's own importance, free from vanity, meek, unpresuming, and unassuming. And I thought that you don't see many people like that anymore, but when you do, you value their understanding of things, their opinion of things. Yep, just a minute, honey. Just a minute, honey.
And they tend to be very empathetic people.
Yes, and very, very full of knowledge and wisdom. And so I just wanted to let you know that verse. It for me, having fallen this week, the part where he said He will lift you up, He did, and it was a very humbling experience to fall, to get up, and to realize that you will have to live like this for a little while until you finally heal from the damage that the fall had given you. Mm-hmm. But yeah, having or showing a modest or low estimate of one's own importance, free from vanity. I thought that was really great. Guys?
No, not.
Well, we're going to have to go. There's just so much noise, and I just, I'm not sure how much you're hearing us. So, did you have anything that you wanted to say real quick about this, or?
There's an aspect to we as the created have an aspect of wanting to we have a tendency to act like we know more than our Creator. And the moment that we have the ability of being like, there's more that we can learn from Him than He can know from us, assuming that He doesn't care to know us in a personal way when He had His Son come live like us and die, is very. It's not it's not within. It's really like main character syndrome, where we're putting ourselves as the most important in the room, unlike those that humble themselves even in front of anybody, just being like, what can I learn from this scenario? I always look at humble people as people that feel that they can learn from anybody.
Right. Yeah.
Despite their importance, or even despite what they know, they are more than willing to be the student more than the teacher in any given situation.
That's true. That's true.
And God looks at those people and is like, you're going to go far.
Yeah.
He has favor on them and is going to lift them up because they are more willing to be taught.
Yes.
Than to try to act like they have something.
That they know it all. They don't know it all. And they will humbly say
it reminds me of that idea of the one verse that we had where it's like the people that know it all are the ones that
learn nothing.
That learn nothing.
Yes. Yes. This is the total opposite of that.
So I'm so sorry that this week's video got loud and interrupted. That was not our intention, but we appreciate your grace, and we hope that next week we have a little bit more to show and a little bit more to offer, and I know that school will resume where we won't have as many interruptions. So,
and thank you, Crystal, for your email telling us that you got your prize and that you really liked it, and we appreciate that.
So, as always, we love you all. We thank you for watching our video and sticking to the end. And as always, we hope that you stitch your way
to mental health.